Ladies and gentlequeefs, Call of Duty is back. Now, when I originally saw Call of Duty Black Ops 6, I was very, very critical, and I was borderline hating. A blind hate, but one without a little bit of merit. I was anti-glazing, if you will. The campaign and the entire premise behind the story, to me personally, seemed very, very uninvesting and uninteresting with the whole spy and incognito, and I felt like Treyarch was playing on our nostalgia with Woods and Frank Woods and the whole rest of the original Black Ops cast. My thoughts largely on the campaign have not changed. However, post-launch, I have heard really, really good things, which leads me to make this video and reassess after a good amount of time playing Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Leads me to reassess my preconceptions about the game. So, first, let's move on to the multiplayer. Omni Movement originally gave me this cynical, sick feeling in my stomach for the direction Call of Duty has been and continues to go. I think we're all tired of the cracked out Adderall Fortnite kids that all have to play like the life of their hospice patient gerbil is on the line. If they don't try as hard as they possibly can with the most insane movement and stimming around and absolute meta builds that they found on TikTok and YouTube, their family will suffer a worse fate than I did when I bought this shirt thinking I would get some bitches. Spoiler alert, I got no bitches, and one gay guy grabbed my ass at a bar, and my boys said I looked like I was runner-up for Brokeback Mountain. Upon opening the multiplayer days 1, 2, and 3, I was seemingly, unfortunately, right, but once I got more into the swing of things, I realized that I had this familiar, warm, fuzzy feeling in my stomach. It reminded me of when I was in 6th grade back playing Call of Duty with my old best friend Jacob playing Black Ops 2, which is probably, in my opinion, the best Call of Duty of all time and my personal favorite. Spoiler alert, personal opinion coming out. A lot of personal opinions will be coming out. This whole entire, Yap session is a big personal opinion. So, let's move on to the zombies. Zombies originally looked like Warzone zombies, or essentially Modern Warfare 3 2023 zombies remastered with a hint of Cold War zombies, which I thought would essentially be the best part of it. I know a lot of us had this preconceived feeling when we saw the armor plates, or at least I did, that I think originally gave us so much of a feeling of what we thought it was going to be. Now, after playing zombies, I can joyfully tell you that it's fucking amazing, and I can't be more happy that I was proven wrong. I have little to no complaints with zombies. I have had so much fun, and I've been playing it literally every day, nonstop. I took 2 weeks of leave from work just to sit down and grind out zombies and multiplayer. So let's get into a little bit of a pre-Yap breakdown. First, I should start with the campaign, but unfortunately, I haven't played the campaign, so I feel as though I don't really have the ability to speak on it. But from what I've heard, passively and speaking, to most people that do what's standard, which is play the campaign as soon as you get the game, and then move on to multiplayer and zombies. I heard it was pretty damn good. I've unfortunately never really been a big Call of Duty campaign guy. The last campaign I played was Advanced Warfare, which actually was really, really good, as well as Call of Duty Ghosts, which we never got a continuation to, but I thought it was fucking awesome. I remember staying up for 7 hours straight playing the campaign, and my dad walked upstairs at 7 a.m. and was like, "What the fuck are you doing up still?" He was like, "Dude, go to bed before your mom sees that you're still up playing the game, and she's pissed." So, there's that. With that said, though, this begs the question, why, if my last two experiences playing the Call of Duty campaigns, why don't I play them really? I think it's most likely due to the lack of interest with that part of COD personally for me. I've always been mostly a multiplayer person and never really saw the gratification with completing the campaigns, especially with the Black Ops 3 campaign coming out and the whole futuristic movement and the weird, kind of unbelievable, not really being a badass kind of thing, super soldier thing that Call of Duty was going to. It was drawing me away, and I feel like the community away as a whole. So I feel like that's where the campaign started to fall off a little bit, was after Advanced Warfare. I know I said that, there was a bunch of crazy movie stuff, and that's where Advanced Warfare pioneered that. But the Advanced Warfare campaign has some very, very iconic things that came from it in the game community as a whole, like press F to pay respects. And it was really good. But aside from that, let's move on to the multiplayer. Alright, so the multiplayer positives. Let's start with the Omni movement. I personally think it looked really scary at first, and very Adderall, pill-popping, craving, and catering to the movement gods, which was definitely the case during the beta, because the movement was so new. Every person and their fucking ferret was doing a variant of the Omni movement, and everything that they could do, diving, sliding, and sprinting in every possible fucking direction as much as possible, which sucked to play against, especially on keyboard or mouse. So after the beta, I was really scared for the longevity of the game and what my actions would be towards the game. Then the game came out, as I said earlier. The first 2 to 3 days was rough, but for a different reason, which I'll touch on later. Spoiler, it essentially boils down to a skill issue on my part. The movement in the game and the Omni movement spam that we saw in the beta is essentially non-existent in a way. Excluding for the no-life basement dweller fucking losers that spend every fucking waking moment doing every possible thing they can do to get an edge over someone else, and doing the little snake slither method, which was a little animation glitch that came out that exploited the character animations. Go back to fucking Warzone and live a loser incel life that you were meant to live, you fucking no-life loser. Alright, back to the topic at hand. The movement feels fucking amazing. It's so surprisingly fluid, and I really like it. It's really fucking smooth. I don't think it fully compares for obvious reasons, but I get kind of the same feeling of smoothness and refinedness that I feel in Apex Legends. This does not feel like the type of movement that is on a game that came out less than a month ago, at the day of making this video. Transitioning from sliding to diving, back to sprinting, and now going sideways while hip firing, and then backwards while throwing a grenade, all while sprinting, is insane. And it feels amazing. As Shroud, someone with a measurable amount of more brain cells and bitches, to be frank, than me, recently said on one of his streams, he said, I can foresee this Omni movement mechanic being implemented in almost every FPS game in the future. I think once we all become accustomed to this, going back to a game without it is going to feel really jarring. Plus, Call of Duty has a very trackable history of setting large industry-changing trends within the FPS game community. COD essentially is the original FPS game after all. Now, moving on to the grind. Let's break this into 2 categories. XP grind, to include weapon level and player level, and camo grind. The grind is back, in my opinion. Back in the day when I was playing Black Ops 2, just as Squidward Tentacles, I was never a huge fan of prestiging. My poor 12 to 15-year-old mind just didn't get the premise of resetting your level and starting all over again just to go up a prestige level. I just didn't understand it at the time, so for the longest time, until the latter months, or years actually, of Black Ops 2, I stayed at the original 5-star level 55 and didn't prestige, while one of my oldest best friends grinded his way all the way to Master Prestige. Then did a fresh start to get the iconic little eraser fresh start calling card. I'm pretty sure you don't need to go to Master Prestige to get the fresh start calling card. I think you just do fresh start, and I don't know how high you have to go within the game to get the fresh start thing. Maybe it's like 1 prestige and then you get it, but whatever. I digress. Doesn't really matter. Anyways, hopefully that gives some reference to how I used to see prestiging. Then came Black Ops 3. Which was the last game that I really actually grinded on, because it felt so unbelievably gratifying with the kind of new system that was implemented for the long-term grind. I felt like you really got something out of it. I got to Master Prestige, and I also got Dark Matter on every weapon that was added, or at least every weapon that I could get from the supply drops. I ended up passing my 2 most played games on Steam with the grind that I put in Black Ops 3, which were previously Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, which was my first PC game ever, and I had 650 hours on that, and then CSGO, which had 720 hours. After that, most Call of Duties implemented the Master Prestige Plus Plus mechanic, as well as some sort of dark matter for getting every base gun in the game gold / diamond, and achieving an overall camo to put on every gun as like a big hoorah for getting diamond on everything. And by Master Prestige Plus Plus, I mean you hit Master Prestige, and then once you pass 55 on the Master Prestige, you know the numbers turn like you know, a different color, like an orange, and then you get to level 1000. So that's what I mean by plus plus. Alright, so moving on to the attachment grind. This is a huge W from Treyarch and or Activision for not doing the fucking brain dead idea that they used to, for the most part, of having to use 73 different fucking guns to unlock different attachment trees to get all the way down to unlock a red dot sight on a pistol, which unlocks a suppressor for a launcher, which unlocks a cinematics for an LMG, which unlocks a stock on a fucking assault rifle. Clearly I'm exaggerating, but the system that was largely implemented in MW2 2022 and partially continued in MW3 2023 is mostly non-existent in Black Ops 3, with the exception kind of with optics. Generally, once you unlock an optic that is assigned to a specific gun in Black Ops 6, it unlocks it for all the guns within that weapon category. For instance, there was a sight that I unlocked very early in the game, which I pretty much use on every assault rifle. It has a really large sight picture with a largely unobtrusive and generally borderless frame on the sight, as well as a really clear and high resolute reticle, which it feels really good, and I feel like the recoil on a lot of guns seems, you know, a little bit easier to control in my opinion. I don't know if that's just some type of placebo I have, just because it's such a good and clean looking sight, but you know. Anyways, next is the camo grind, which is immediately refreshing in a very familiar way. No stupid ass fucking mounted spam with assault rifles or long shots constantly, or all this dumb bullshit that most, you know, that the Call of Duties, the last couple Call of Duties have had, which made it really grindy in a really shitty, annoying way. Most standard weapons, it's a blanket statement, 100 headshots for the base standard camos, which every weapon has the base standard camos. Then, each weapon has 2 specialty challenge camos, which are gun-specific challenges for each weapon. For example, the AK has an underbarrel attachment kills, while one of the other rifles has kills shortly after sprinting, or kills without being damaged. Then, after getting those 2 specialty camos for the gun, that unlocks the gold camo challenge for the weapon, which is back to the same idea as the base camos, with a standardized challenge that is the same for all the weapons in that category, i.e. all the assault rifles is 10 double kills or greater with each weapon. Now, the camos themselves, they're generally pretty awesome. The base camos are kind of boring and fall flat with detail, but that's fine. That gives you some sort of drive or incentive to at least move on to the specialty camos, which pretty much are like really cool actually. Some people have pointed out that most of all the camos in Black Ops 6 are reused assets from previous Call of Duties, but I personally don't really have an issue with that. Gold, diamond, and dark matter, those are all reused anyways. I mean, gold is, you know, pretty much the same every year, and there's some camos that many of us would like to see come back. Remember the bacon camo from Black Ops 2 or the weaponized 115 camo? Well, those camos were really awesome and pretty fucking iconic. I remember scoring a couple extra fucking measly dollars back in the day on 360 and spending 200 of the like Xbox points or $2 or whatever for the bacon camo in Black Ops 2, when you could just straight up buy the camos as like little DLC options. Speaking of, we do actually have a camo from Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 6. If you remember the Afterlife camo that you got from Black Ops 2, when you pack-a-punched your weapon on Origins, or I believe it was also one of the DLC camos that you could spend $2 for, that camo's back, and so much better. It's the exact same camo design, just more detailed and animated, which is great because it's a higher tier camo, a higher tier on the unlock scale for the zombies pipeline. A large portion of the camos pointed out by someone I saw on TikTok and kind of on YouTube are from Black Ops 4. I personally think this was a decision made by them, or the Call of Duty devs, and you know, the team over there at Treyarch and Activision, for 2 reasons. One, the camos from Black Ops 4 were actually really cool. And they had good designs on them, and you could tell a lot of thought process went into them. And that brings me on to number 2. I think a lot more people would not immediately recognize the camos in a sense due to the lack of long-term support and kind of the community feeling towards Black Ops 4 as a whole. Small side note, in addition to the camos, after you achieve gold with a specific weapon and achieve a weapon mastery, which is a little badge you get, you unlock the ability to put on and apply any of the unlocked specialty camos that were unlocked on other weapons. On the current weapon, for example, a really sick dragon camo that is unlocked on the AK, I applied to the first sniper, the LR, once I got it gold due to it looking like really fucking sick on the sniper. As well as after a few games, the vanity of the gold kind of wore off just because that's what everybody's showing off once they unlock it. Overall, I'm full swing into the camo grind with Black Ops 6 as well as the road to Master Prestige, as I am genuinely enjoying playing the game and feeling some sort of nostalgic gratification with the game and grinding through and through. Alright, let's get into some quick fire positives about the multiplayer. First, theater mode is back. This is something that used to be a standard with Call of Duty and was used for a huge amount of things, including showing friends cool clips, as well as gathering for B-roll or footage for YouTube videos. I remember doing this back in the day when I fucking had no viewers and still currently don't, but I was a little aspiring teenager and I thought I could do something cool with theater mode. Next, so many welcoming hardcore game modes, thank God, which generally seem to come out as soon as their core counterparts come out, to include Nuketown 24/7, 10v10, and Face Off. I generally only play hardcore for red gunning, especially for the headshot grind, so this is a huge W from Treyarch. With one recent exception, which I foresee is probably going to change in the near future, hardcore is currently missing Stakeout 24/7, which, you know, the core playlist counterpart has Stakeout 24/7. I feel like generally the community has made their voices heard on that issue, and I have a strong inclination that Treyarch will add it to the mix due to their recent very active listening to the community. Next is the game was actually really engaging, at least in my opinion. I found myself, when the game first came out, watching the Optic Clan doing the Race to Master Prestige, which was just really cool, something to have on always in the background. I would go to bed listening to it on my other computer for 7 straight days while they were doing the grind, and kept up to date with their Race to Master Prestige. Something I have not really historically ever done because I didn't really care and I wasn't really invested in the game like I am now. And this made me take a step back and realize that I am actually pretty damn invested in the game. I find myself going to actually seek out Call of Duty Black Ops 6 content on YouTube and Twitch, something that I haven't done probably since Modern Warfare 2019. Leading off of my investment I have in this game and my current mental state of actually wanting to seek out and really consume Black Ops 6 content is I found myself actually Googling and looking up Black Ops 6 double XP codes or ways to get Black Ops 6 double XP tokens. Spoiler alert, just buy some monsters, upload your receipts on the monster website. I really am invested in playing this game, and I'm really hopeful that I stay this way, as I haven't felt about this way in a long time due to the current status of a lot of the FPS game market. Alright, so going into the multiplayer negatives, which thankfully is a somewhat kind of small list, but the game isn't perfect. Starting it off, the network issues in the game. Luckily, I haven't been much a victim to the history of shitty networking that Call of Duty has had in the past and present. Many people have complained and have had very frequent packet bursts. I have seen this in so many videos, and I've watched with people playing Black Ops 6, and the packet burst is really jarring, borderline pausing your game for a second or two, and then all inputs you made catch up and you jump to present after a huge lag spike. I've heard that it was partially due to the game chat and the lag spikers that would happen right when someone started speaking in game chat. Shark said they were working on it, or they partially fixed it, but as far as present time, the packet burst issue is still happening to a lot of people. Luckily, I myself have had maybe 1 or 2 packet bursts since the game's release, which is probably a good thing because I'm kind of a temperamental child when it comes to video games, and will probably start breaking all of my shit if I get fucked over by some dumbass shit like packet bursts. So I understand where the community is coming from with this. Keeping things within the realm of networking still, let's talk about this skill-based damage that is happening to people. I've seen so many people talking about this and making short-form videos of it on TikTok or Instagram Reels or YouTube about it, showing blatant clips from their perspective of them hitting 6, 7, 8 bullets on target with hit markers just for that same person to turn on them and shoot them with 3 to 4 bullets. Then you watch the kill cam, and the person that just killed you, it looks like took little to no damage at all. It looks like maybe 1 bullet hit them. I, of course, at first fell victim to believing this could for sure be a thing due to the extremely shady shit that Activision has been doing with the engagement optimized matchmaking in Call of Duty the last few years, and how it gets worse and worse every year. So I found myself wanting to hop on the hate train and bash them for also adding this bullshit ass skill-based damage, but it seems to mostly be a desync or network connectivity issue after all. Some people said some very interesting things that made me kind of have a little bit of a realization. If skill-based damage was a thing, i.e. the better you are playing, the more frequently you could have real-time damage nerf to assist the people of lower skill in your game, then why are the esports pros or online creators that are just generally very, very good at the game just constantly shooting marshmallows out of their gun? Well, the answer is because skill-based damage doesn't actually exist. Not to mention, the damage you do in a match is in real-time updating for everyone in the game to see on the scoreboard. So, long story short, just like almost every COD before it, Black Ops 6 needs to sit and take some time to iron out and perfect their networking issues for the longevity of the game and snuff out these issues that people are having that are making them think that there's shady stuff going on, but it just happens to be networking issues. Next up, we have the map design, and Jesus, man, Treyarch couldn't have missed harder with this one. I gotta say, I think I dislike, if not hate, all of the fucking maps. There are a few that are pretty good, such as Babylon or Subsonic. Now, I may be saying this because I seem to always fucking frown on those maps, but generally they're pretty fun, and I find myself memorizing the spawns and finding my muscle memory just like I used to when I was a lot more invested in the Call of Duty back in the day. Now, obviously going unmentioned is Nuketown. Nuketown is Nuketown. It's awesome. I love it, and I think it should be in literally every Call of Duty. It's a staple of Call of Duty. But aside from those, most of the other maps are just fucking straight boring and play terrible. Protocol, Red Card, Rewind, Scud, Vorkuta, Derelict. I hate playing these maps 99% of the time, and rather just play a face-off map, which unfortunately, recently the XP gains from face-off maps have been nerfed, so it almost isn't even worth playing them anymore, or Nuketown. So essentially, I'd rather play a map that isn't Black Ops 6 specific, which actually I think doesn't have to be a bad thing, as Call of Duty before Black Ops 6 have had amazing maps, as seen with the case of Nuketown. So let there be more remastered maps or include more maps from previous Call of Duties. I love playing the Raid remake and Black Ops 3. Raid is probably one of the greatest maps of all time, up there with Nuketown. Now, the community does have an issue with when you release a Call of Duty with almost only remastered maps because it comes off as lazy, as seen with the MW2 2022 and MW3 2023 fiasco. Those games are fucking dog shit, by the way. I don't know how many times I gotta say this shit for all the Call of Duty copers out there to accept it. So, obviously, include actual new maps, but include more remastered maps, which, retrospectively, Treyarch is probably saving or has a backlog of previous Call of Duty maps to remaster for the seasonal lifeline of Black Ops 6 to maintain a constant interest in the game, which, from a business standpoint, I think they have learned that that is a lot smarter business way to go. But speaking on the maps still, most of the maps feel like shit. They give this weird, fuzzy, familiar feeling with them, which I kind of like, that I kind of want to relate to Black Ops 2, but it feels sacrilegious to do that because the maps fucking suck. All the maps in Black Ops 2, besides Aftermath, were awesome. You guys will see me compare, or maybe not compare per se, but I want to relate this game a lot to Black Ops 2 because in my mind nothing compares to Black Ops 2, but I frequently will relate Black Ops 6 to Black Ops 2 because it gives me this familiar feeling which I really, really like. I kind of feel at home with it. I touched on it earlier, but knowing and learning the spawns and having some sort of subconscious memory on how the map flows and where and how the spawns are to keep me engaged and fucking frying these nerds is something I did really, really well in Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3. And frankly, I kind of missed that feeling. Quick side note, I had in the script that there weren't many maps within the release of the game, but when I went to actually go look it up and gather some information for the video, compared to Black Ops 2, which had 14 base maps within the game, Black Ops 6 on launch had 12 6v6 maps and 4 face-off or 2v2 maps. And then the addition of Nuketown shortly after the release of the game, bringing the total to 17 maps. So I was potentially going to say some incorrect information, but that brings into question, why do I feel that way? I think it's because the same fucking maps play over and over. And since the maps suck so much to fucking play on, when you end up somehow ending up with the same fucking maps over and over, it just feels like 1 or 2 games ago you were playing on fucking Scud, and here you are again playing on this bullshit map, and this feeling of dread comes over. It gets to the point where I do the typical Call of Duty move and just back out and find another lobby. I refuse to play on Protocol, I refuse to play on Vorkuta, and I fucking hate Scud. Those maps fucking blow. So, cool, let's move on to the attachments. I said earlier that the attachment grind process is nice and relatively simple, and mostly back to the roots of the original Call of Duties, which is really nice, but along with the back to the roots style system, the attachments are extremely boring, meaning that generally all the attachments that are good on any gun are essentially the exact same good attachments that are copy and paste on every gun. Now, the astute among you may realize that this is exactly how Call of Duty used to be. Everyone back in the day with Black Ops 2 ran stock extended mags and suppressor if you had primary gunfighter. So this isn't necessarily a negative to go back to the roots and make the attachments all blanket statement for almost all the weapons, but after having many Call of Duties in a row with a very special attachment pipeline, and the attachments for almost every gun were tailored and named to that gun, I can't help but feel like this is a little lazy. This is half positive and half negative for me. It feels lazy, but this takes out a lot of the confusing attachment selection and looking at weapon builds and trying to find a build process for that gun that Call of Duty has come to in the latter years. I will say something that I really did like from MW3, even though that fucking game sucked, was the weapon attunements that you unlocked when you fully maxed out a weapon. I did really like that addition and would like to see it come back, but I highly doubt it will if it didn't come out with the release of the game. I think Treyarch doesn't really have an interest in bringing that system into the game, given their current agenda of bringing this Call of Duty back to the roots of what made Call of Duty so great. Now, let's move on to the quickfire negatives. The main menu fucking sucks to navigate, and it's really confusing at times, not to mention it has fucking hella GUI glitches and issues. As is the normal for COD, this COD has the typical fucking losers that play the game and have no fucking shame for being the worst people alive, and by that I mean the motherfuckers crouch walking around, stake out with the auto shoddy, or crouch hiding in a corner with an LMG, or smoking out Nuketown and laying prone in the back of the map with a thermal LMG. This is something that isn't new to COD. It has gotten worse and worse in the latter years, but damn if it still isn't here. Jesus. Next is the player movement speed. It's fucking insane. I feel like combined with the Omni movement, it feels like players move faster than I blow my fucking load, which is a serious issue because the amount of time I last in bed is more disappointing than the release of the Rick and Morty anime, which by the way was fucking terrible. So with that said, I think if the movement speed was maybe reduced anywhere in the range of 5 to 10% or somewhere in between, it would feel a lot better, in my opinion. Because my thing is I like sniping, and trying to snipe in this game when players blow past my scope at the fucking speed of light is a pain. My favorite thing to do in COD is frag out and go for clips with snipers, and it's really hard to do when players move so fast. That mixed with the extra little animation they have in this game due to the Omni movement system and being able to sprint directly left and right means hitting someone with a bolt action sniper when they are side to side strafing behind a head glitch is a real pain in the ass. The extra little animation I was talking about, that when you sprint left or right, your player does a little like lean forward with their head to indicate which side they're sprinting to. So when you're strafing left and right, your head bobs back and forth really fucking fast with some like crazy jarring animation, which makes hitting people on head glitches really hard unless you're just spraying with a gun with some type of automatic weapon, which usually isn't the way that I play. So let's change the topic and wrap up multiplayer and head over to zombies. Starting off zombies, let's start with the positives. I really thought I wasn't gonna like zombies this year. Like I said at the beginning of the video, it gave me this knee-jerk reaction to some sort of Warzone zombies with a shitty exfil thing, but thankfully I couldn't be more wrong. Zombies is so much fun, and the grind for the zombie camos is fucking awesome. It is a grueling grind for sure with a shit ton of critical kills, but it's well worth it. I would spend hours playing and grinding camos multiplayer, and when I get tired of frying my fucking brain cells and concentrating on trying to sweat my ass off and compete with the little Adderall and whip it addicted 7-year-olds, I'll go to zombies and just have a blast and enjoy mindlessly but also concentrating on hitting headshots and crit kills with the guns and grinding for camos. This is the exact same thing I used to in Black Ops 2 without the camos. I would play so hard and sweat my ass off that I'd be mentally exhausted from playing multiplayer, and I'd go play zombies to relax for a couple hours and just shut my brain mostly off. This leads into how, since this version of zombies has something to actually grind for, side note, Cold War did as well, but I fell off of playing that really quickly, and I don't exactly know why, but anyways, I find myself, once I get more into a groove, I'll mute the game and I'll just vibe out and listen to music. This just brings on a fucking awesome vibe. I was watching Jev the other day, and he also happened to be grinding some zombie camos, and he said something in his video about muting the game and listening to the Initial D playlist. It makes the game fun as hell and a really dope vibe. Thus, I have found my new holy grail of playing zombies. It's fucking awesome. I have a really good time just training the zombies around, doing my little circles on the rooftop, on Liberty Balls, or on Terminus, you know, just running around downstairs, and then turning around and headshotting 30 zombies in a row down the train and just getting my crits, racking them up, grinding for camos. Zombies is just pure fun, and I would glaze the fuck out of it because it's actually just a huge win for Treyarch, along with the Call of Duty community as a whole. Zombies, consequently, is also a really good game mode for leveling and rigging up brand new guns. I found myself knowing the multiplayer grind was leading me to an upcoming weapon, so I would go into zombies and use it for, 30 to 40 rounds and get the gun to weapon level, 20 or 30. And then I don't have to start with that gun I don't have to start fresh with no attachments. Except for the universal sights, because you get those anyways, no matter what. But the zombies would jumpstart my grind with the gun and multiplayer, which made life a lot easier. Moving on, the upcoming guided mode within zombies is awesome. This is a great addition by Treyarch, and for people that don't want to go watch YouTube videos and all this shit and learn how to do the Easter egg and all these weird little things, memorize these steps and hold on, keep a crawler, I gotta watch the next step, they just want to play a round or two after work, this is the game mode that gives people a way of easily doing the Easter egg and feeling some type of gratification, and they get guided through it so they have a task and they can feel a sense of achievement and learn about the story without having to go out of their way and sightsee the damn YouTube video just to complete it. For core zombies players, this was and still is a huge part of COD for them, but some people don't want to do that. They just want to be told what to do, where to go, and what boss to kill. So overall, I feel like this is a really great new addition to Call of Duty Zombies, and it's never been in Zombies, and I'm surprised, honestly, that it took this long for it to be added. Alright, moving on to the Zombies negatives, which is, thankfully, a pretty damn short list. To me, the Easter egg is kind of uninvesting and uninteresting, personally. The Easter egg is fun and hard for sure. The boss fights are pretty sick and definitely something you can't just breeze through without some good preparation. But the actual story of it is a lot less interesting to me than some of the more original Zombies maps and their accompanying storylines with them. The only other negative I have with Zombies, honestly, is there's only 2 maps with the launch of the game. With the amount of grind they continue to do for Zombies to finish the grind and get all the camos, the lack of additional Zombies maps kind of sucks. Luckily they're good Zombies maps, so it doesn't suck to play them over and over and over, but I just wish that there was some more variety they could have given us, especially for the people that don't care for the grind. It would give them something more to do as well. Overall, this isn't too bad of a thing since the quality of the maps this year or what was made by Call of Duty is a lot more important to me and the community than the quantity of maps. And I think the community as a whole agrees it's better to have 2 good maps rather than 4 or 6 just whatever boring maps. So I really hope the Treyarch keeps up this really good rapport that they have going on with the community, and they start to, you know, rebuild a little bit more trust with everyone, or at least the core older generation of Call of Duty players, because I feel like in the last couple years they've really lost a lot of us. They've picked up new fans, especially these fucking whippet addicted Adderall crack kids, but generally, like myself especially, you know, I told myself I wasn't going to buy Call of Duty this year, and then I ended up playing it. I didn't buy it, and I'll talk about why in the closing thoughts, but this is, I think this is a really good stepping stone in the right direction from Call of Duty. Alright, so closing thoughts. Overall, this seems like it's going to be a really good year for Call of Duty fans, a year or two actually. This is coming from the perspective, you know, from someone that didn't have high hopes for this game at first until I actually sat down and played it. Along with the huge amount of decisions Treyarch and Activision as a whole have made this year, like I said I was going to talk about earlier, they decided, and probably with big pop of Microsoft's influence, to make Black Ops 6 free for users with the Xbox Game Pass. This is such a boy move, and honestly, I didn't know if I was even going to buy the game, especially given the fucking corporate greed and this fucking terrible trend now of making AAA games 70 fucking freedom units. I have fallen victim to this $70 waste of money time and time again. And the more times than I like to admit in recent years from just this company. Other side notes that I feel needs to be mentioned is Warzone. I fucking hate Warzone and every loser that plays that shitty fucking game mode. Personally, I think Warzone is the worst thing to happen to Call of Duty. The core multiplayer is no longer the focus of Call of Duty, as everything has some type of angle that Activision is pushing just for Warzone. This is really, really evident just with how you launch each new Call of Duty from your computer. Instead of having separate ways to launch and play the Call of Duties, they're all under this blanket statement Call of Duty program to drive more people to and or near the Warzone option. This brought on this whole new era of movement gods that started with MW 2019, along with the launch of Warzone. Everything surrounding that game mode is hella fucking cringe and has tainted a lot of the Call of Duty community, as well as the content that I would personally like to consume with Call of Duty. I could make a whole separate video ranting about how fucking bad and just straight bitching about Warzone, but I'll save that potentially for some other time, some other, you know, senile ramblings when I'm a homeless fucking piece of shit and want to tell someone that passes by when I'm asking for some booze. I remember when Warzone came out, that was the end of an era. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the Yap, and I hopefully plan to make more of these long form, personal, you know, opinionated videos like this one. With the launch of what I plan to make this a new series, cringely and definitely AI generated or assisted, as Entering the Yap Zone, ETYZ for short. Hope you guys enjoyed. Sharticus out.